Hi guys! So I'm doing a video real quick. I promised I would do a video on how to use sage in your home, how to cleanse your own crystals using sage, as well as what's the difference between the sage, like white sage you would buy in a metaphysical shop, and then the regular sage that you would find at the grocery store. So I do cleanse and charge every single crystal, and I use this sage method. When I'm done with working on a piece and I have the completed stone and set into the jewelry and everything, what I'll do is I will cleanse it, and then I will take a moment either giving the intention that the customer requested or the intention that I feel is appropriate for that stone and set that intention. Once I get that stone to you, however, over time, the vibration that I set into the stone will change based on environmental things that happen to it in the environment, as well as absorbing negativity. So a lot of stones will absorb the negative vibrations. So they're giving you support, but then they're taking on the negative vibrations themselves. And so over time, you may notice that a crystal that was very powerful for you at first becomes less so, and then you think, boy, I really felt like this crystal was doing something, but it's not doing anything anymore. So that is the moment where you need to cleanse the crystal. So take care of it, just like you would anything else in your life, and give it a renewed sense of life. Let it set itself back to the initial vibration. Every single crystal has a unique vibration, and this is science, this is not metaphysical. They have a unique vibration set in them. They're actually, one of the cool things about crystals is that they have a very repetitive structure. The crystalline structure is different from anything else. And they use crystals in watches, they use them in memory chips, they hold information very well. And so they're used in science for that. They're also used, they even use them in like really minute surgeries where they have to get a lot of power into the area, but they can't actually get the medical supplies into whatever area they're trying to operate on. They use crystals inside of that tool, and that's actually what's creating the powerful beam that will help them do the surgery. So crystals, they're amazing from a scientific perspective, but then they're also amazing from the metaphysical side, from what they can do for your emotions, for intention setting, and things that only you can experience with the crystal. But they can only do so much, and after a while they've absorbed that negativity, and then you need to cleanse them to be able to use them again. So when I first started making sage bundles, I just went to the store and I bought sage and I made a sage bundle, and then I thought, I wonder if this is the right sage or not. And it is different from the white sage that you would find in California. So I'm going to show you, this is what, if you were to go into a metaphysical shop, or a shop that sold crystals, something like that, you would probably see something like this. This is a sage bundle, and it's made from white sage, which is also called California sage. The reason it's called that, obviously, is because it's grown in California. It's grown all across the Southwest. And it has been used for years and years and years by the Native Americans in their traditional ceremonies. What we have on the East Coast and what they have in Europe is called garden sage, or common sage, or kitchen sage. So there's several different names for it, but it is very close to white sage, but it is a different plant. And so that has been used for the same sort of metaphysical and traditional purposes in Europe, because that is the kind of sage that's native to Europe. So there's really not a right or wrong to this, but they are different plants. And so I was a little bit confused at first about what the deal was. So you can use these bundles, but you can also get these little clusters of the sage, the white sage. And so this is what it would look like on the branch. And then to turn it into a bundle before it dries, they would bundle it up. But sometimes they'll just dry these little clusters, okay? There's a lot of different ways you can use this, but I actually saw someone demonstrating this recently, and he was saying that he actually prefers to do it this way, to just have one at a time. He finds it less cumbersome, and you get plenty of smoke with that. So I just want you to understand that you don't have to get a certain kind of sage for it to work, right? You get the sage that you can find, and it'll all be fine. But I want to just show you, if you were to get white sage like this, how you would burn it, okay? So you have a couple different choices. You can A, snap off a little leaf, all right? Now I've got it on fire. This is exciting. All right, you can let it go off by itself, or if it's been about 5 seconds, you can just put it out. But now you have this lovely billowy smoke, right? And with this, you could either do your little ceremony with your jewelry, or if you wanted to cleanse yourself, it's plenty for cleansing yourself. Send the smoke around yourself and make sure that while you're doing that, you're thinking calming, meditative, affirmation thoughts. So there are definitely medicinal properties, cleansing properties, metaphysical properties to the sage, but I really think it's just as important that you're taking a moment to take care of yourself, to send yourself some positive energy, undo the negativity that has surrounded you for days, weeks, months, and give yourself a chance to reset the tone. Now, because you're going to be getting rid of negative emotions, you want to make sure that when you're using sage, that you have a window or a door open, because there's got to be somewhere for that smoke and for the negativity to go. So if you just do this and everything is sealed up in your house, you're literally just moving the negativity around your house, which is no good. It's like sweeping, going to all the trouble to sweep up a room and then never taking the dustpan and throwing the dust into the trash can. All you've done is move it around. It's still there. So this is what it would look like if you just use one, okay? Now, you could also just do the whole thing. This gives you something a little bit better, especially if you're not, if you don't love fire. It gives you something better to hold on to that's farther away from the actual flame, the ember. Same thing. So you get a little bit more smoke that way, right? Same thing on yourself, on your jewelry, on your house. You could take, this would do several rooms, right, in a house before you got done with it. And if you're going to cleanse your house, you're going to start in one corner and you're going to work your way all the way through the house and moving it all towards that window so that all of the negativity goes out that window. You definitely want to make sure you get the corners, get under the bed, get all the stuff that you can't see, not just around the middle. You want to get into the crevices as well too. Okay, so that is if you had white sage again, but the bundle or a single piece. All right. So we're back to this guy, which is the one that you've probably seen the most, right? The white sage bundle. Okay, and that it takes a little bit more to catch that on fire, actually. But there you go. So now I've got this on fire, which is good. There are a lot of different trappings, different accessories that you can have for doing sage cleansing. Abalone shells or feathers are typical. You can also use a piece of paper or just your hand to move the smoke around. All of that's really nice and it can add to the ceremonial elements. But honestly, the sage is doing most of the work, the sage and your intention. So you don't have to feel like you can't do it unless you have all of the fancy stuff, okay? So again, if this is easier, you just have the one thing to carry around, great, just buy one of these. But it's a little bit cheaper if you buy the loose leaves or the little clusters like I have, okay? Now this is the garden sage. This is the kind that you would find at the grocery store. Now, my caveat for going to your local grocery store and getting sage to use is that please make sure that it's organic. The white sage, this was another question I had because when I went to purchase some white sage, I kept seeing that it was just wild sage, and it wouldn't say organic or not organic. And I'm into organic things, so I wanted to purchase for that reason. But it turns out there are actually almost all companies will wild pick it and then hand bind it. And so if it's wild grown, you can't organically certify that. So really, when you're looking for a company, choose the one for white sage, choose the one that feels the best to you because they're all pretty much going to be wild collecting it. But if you're going to buy it in the grocery store, if it's not organic, then it has been sprayed. It does have chemicals on it, right? It's got gross stuff. So you do not want to burn that and let that out into the air in your home, just like you wouldn't want to eat it. So definitely, if you're going to get the garden sage from the grocery store, make sure that it's organic. Does that make sense? So this, I just bought a package at the grocery store, and then I dried it. And so now I have these little sage leaves. You could do it the same way. You could do a single one, right, which I already showed you. You could do the whole thing. I'm going to give it a better chance to light. Okay, there we go. Woo! As I burn down my house. That was fun. The reason they usually will recommend, and when I do this in my house, either a bowl underneath it, or I'll actually do, I just have this plate, which I don't know if you can see, but it's a ceramic dish. So I hold the ceramic dish underneath when I'm going around my house doing this, because the ashes will fall, right, as it burns down. So now on my glass table, I'm going to have some ashes that I have to clean up. But I would generally have my plate underneath it, and so that would keep any of the ashes from getting on your floor. But so that burns great too, right? As you saw, it went up in flames. The one caveat with the garden sage, and the reason that people tend to prefer the white sage, is that they say that you have to get this really dry before it will burn. It doesn't catch fire as well if it's damp at all. Which, I mean, just dry it all the way. But the other thing is that some people think that the white sage has a cleaner smell to it. I think they both smell like the yoga studio. You know, they both smell a little bit like pot. So you're going to have that smell no matter what. But either one of them will burn just fine. Now, you can also make your own bundle. I know probably some of y'all that are watching this have seen, I did a blog, it's been several months now, but it's still on the blog, that was a picture step-by-step on how to make your own smudge stick, okay? So you can still go there to lulamaedesign.com/blog, and that will explain to you how to do it. I also did a live video that is somewhere, if you go to Lula Mae Design, the Facebook page, I'm sure you can find it under videos there too. But this is the one I made on that last video. I made it around Valentine's Day. It has eucalyptus and rose petals with the common sage. Those are both very calming and romantic herbs. So the cool thing about making your own sage bundle is that you get to dress it up however you want to do it. I've done it with lavender before. And so you can add a whole bunch of herbs, and I go into that a little bit on that blog post that I did on what are some of the different herbs and the properties that they have. So that's a little bit more fun, but if you live on the East Coast like me, you're probably going to end up needing to use that garden sage, whereas if you live in California, you could probably go gather some white sage and then make your own. So this one is a little bit harder to light than the white sage bundle, I think, but it burns fine once you get it going. So try and light that. Plus this lasts forever. I've had this one for a while. Like I said, I made it around Valentine's Day. Okay, so now I've got it burning. And it's going to have some of that eucalyptus and the rose smell to it as well, because I added those in there. But, so I just want to show you real quick how you would do the cleansing ceremony for the crystals, okay? So this little guy is my rose quartz. One of my very favorite ones. I wear it all the time, so it can definitely use a little cleansing, I'm sure. This little guy, so you see this is already kind of going out. The single ones, the sage burns better than the rose petal, and I've got it on the rose petal here. But when you're doing a cleansing, you're basically going to put the crystal just right on top of the sage, okay, and let the billows go across the crystal. And at this point, if you have an intention that you wanted to set into it, then you would definitely make sure that you begin to think about that. Let me get it on the sage a little bit better. Okay. There we go. Now it's catching. So for rose quartz, I wear this a lot because it will help you to send out love into the world and also to draw it in towards yourself. It's also a great calming stone. When you experience stress, if you feel that here, if you have trouble breathing, or if you feel tight in your chest area when you're stressed out, Rose quartz is a great stone for that as well. And so all you have to do, see, now it's got a pretty, now I got it on the sage, you've got nice smoke. I'm just going to sit here and think about the fact that I want this for calm interactions with my fellow humans, lots of energy and love coming from myself, and lots of forgiveness and acceptance of other people. So I just let the smoke go over the crystal, and I would spend some silent time with this if I was not doing this video, and really set that intention into the crystal, okay? You can also do it with bracelets. Any of the pieces that I make, it works just fine. This is my magnetic hematite and amazonite necklace. Great for energy. Also, amazonite is fantastic for speaking the truth, which I think is very important in this modern age. That's one of my my basic principles that I share, but maybe not the rest of the world. So, so this, all you're doing, same thing, is you're just going to let that smoke go across the crystal. So it's very, very simple. It's not difficult. The Reiki healing part of it is the more, it is actually, anyone can be a Reiki healer as well, but you do have to be attuned for that. And so I actually studied with Tracy Kelly from Lotus Crystals and Healing, who's fantastic. She did a blog recently for me on the website talking about Reiki. But that is really how you set the energy. You pull the energy from the environment and put it into the crystal. But for cleansing it, it really only takes the sage and your intention. And we can get more into any details about this. If I haven't answered all of your questions, then definitely post them below. Oh, thanks, Nicole. I don't know I think you watched the video of when I made this originally. I don't know if you ever got to try it yourself. But yeah, it's really not hard. Go find that video, or maybe I'll share it again, or go look at the blog. It's super easy to make these yourself, and I'm a DIY kind of a girl, so I love doing that. But if you're the I want it to be easy sort of a person, you can get online and you can find either the white sage bundles or the white sage pieces very easily. It's not that expensive. It lasts a long time. I also am going to put for sale on my website, I'm going to add the little clusters, these little guys, just for $1, so you can get one when you order a piece from me. And that way I'm taking out the difficulty of going and finding a place to get it and having to buy like a 3-pound bag, which is a lot of these. So if you want to just get one so that you can cleanse your own crystals, then I'm going to make that available, because that'll make your life a lot easier. But any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope this was a little bit helpful. And I will let y'all know when I do my next video. For sure, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do the intention setting ceremony. Sage is a huge one for intention setting, but also for releasing, that we'll do at the end of the month. Fantastic for both of those. Just resetting the mood in your entire apartment is great too. So thanks guys for watching, and I will let you know next time that I'm going to do a video. Besides next Tuesday, I'm sure I'll pop in and give you some more advice. All right, thanks guys, have a good evening. Bye.